I'm Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, and today's top headline is entitled, Trump Climate Panel Could Expose Huge Fraud, Hence the Hysteria. And today we have with us the author of that article, Alex Newman. Thank you for joining us again on the program, Alex.
Thank you for having me, Christian. It's great to be with you.
So what's the left all frantic about?
That's a good question. It's the $64 trillion question, as independent physicist John Droz put it. You have a situation now. We got some documents leaked to the Washington Compost. It looks like President Trump is preparing to release an executive order that would create a presidential committee on climate science or climate security. We'll see how the name goes. That would investigate or re-examine the climate science to see what the deal is. And,
well, wait a minute. The science is settled on the subject, so the left should be happy that this will confirm their findings, right?
Well, see, that's what you would think. If the science were really settled, that would be a very obvious, logical inference. But what's happened is quite the opposite. In fact, they are absolutely losing it. They're shrieking, they're crying, they're saying Trump is dangerous for doing this, and it's a threat to national security to re-examine the climate science. I know, right? The sky is falling, and we've heard this Chicken Little stuff for a long time. But what they're really concerned about, Christian, is that the guy who is expected to lead this commission, Dr. William Happer, he is a Princeton University physicist, fantastic guy there. You can see him right on the screen. We had the opportunity to interview him at a climate conference put on by Freedom Force International in 2016. He and I both spoke there, him on the science, me on the media of this climate circus. And they're really worried that he's going to basically uncover all the fraud. I mean, this is a guy who recognizes that CO2 is right now at historically low levels. When you look back in the geological record, he says that the Earth is basically famished for more CO2 right now. Plants are designed, he said, to operate in an atmosphere with 4 to 5 times the concentration of CO2. And he says that the science doesn't reveal that CO2 is causing any dangerous climate change. And so the left is freaking out about this guy, and they can't, they do with everybody else. They say, oh, you're a stooge of the oil companies. You're a science denier. But it's really hard to do that with this guy. He's soft-spoken. Everybody loves him, even the people who disagree with him at Princeton University. So they are absolutely petrified that Dr. Happer and his committee might get to the bottom of all this massive fraud that's been going on in the climate science so-called debate.
So what are the Democrats and maybe even some of the Republicans doing to try to stop President Trump from naming this individual to be the head of this committee, supposing that President Trump does create this special commission?
Well, we have it from a variety of reliable sources that there is a concerted effort to get Trump to nix this commission. They want it stopped. They don't want it to exist. They don't want it to be created. And that shouldn't surprise us. There's a massive cottage industry that's built up around this hypothesis. Now we're talking trillions of dollars at stake. A lot of people have, their business model depends on this hypothesis. Their tax-funded research, their tax-funded grants depends on this hypothesis. Their credibility depends on this now, right? They've invested so much of their credibility into this, and so you have Democrats in Congress. In the House, they sent a nasty letter to President Trump, saying that he needs to hand over all these documents and release the names of everybody. They're really upset. And then in the Senate, a similar letter, they said this is dangerous and it's misguided, and Happer is a science denier and all the rest of it. So there is an effort now to get Trump to reconsider this. And apparently there's even a debate in the White House now. So it is a critical time for people who realize that this man-made global warming hypothesis is in fact fraudulent, that it's based on fraud, that it's being used to justify totalitarianism and globalism. There is an urgent need right now for people to get in touch with the White House, let them know that the public supports this, and let's re-examine the science. If it's as settled and as solid as the global warming alarmists would like us to believe, that will come out in the investigation. So.
Great. So what should we do to help President Trump in regards to this commission that he wants to set up?
Well, I think the first thing is to just, make sure that the president knows there's public support out there. Send him a note on Twitter, call the White House and leave him a message on his comment line. Send an email through the White House contact form. It's whitehouse.gov/contact. If you're a blogger, write blog articles about it. Contact opinion molders in your community. Let them know that there is the culmination now of 30 years of this is coming to a head, right now in Washington, D.C. And
so a lot depends on this.
Oh my goodness, everything depends on this. If the commission gets nixed, then the climate alarmists will declare victory, and they will steamroller ahead with their effort to basically subvert national sovereignty, charge climate taxes. They're talking about CO2. This is the gas that people exhale, right? This is a gas that is produced no matter what you're doing, including sleeping, sitting on the couch. And so from a totalitarian perspective, demonizing this is absolutely critical, right? You can control, regulate, tax every aspect of somebody's life if you can convince people that the gas they exhale is pollution. Never mind the fact that human emissions of CO2 make up a fraction of 1% of all the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So again, if you're out there and you're watching this, most American adults, almost all Republicans recognize that this hypothesis is a total fraud. We need Trump to follow through. On the campaign trail, he said, this is a hoax. Before that, he said this is a hoax. He's right, and so he should follow through on this. A real committee of credible experts has the opportunity to completely demolish the fraud using science, using the scientific method, and that's what they're so scared of. So we need to show President Trump that there's support for this, and we need to do everything possible to raise awareness.
So basically, if President Trump and the White House cave to the demands of the Democrats and even those Republicans that have no spine in terms of not creating this commission, not only would the truth on climate change be threatened, but also, as well as you're pointing out here, the plant life plant life basically would be threatened as well with continued reduction of CO2 that they require to sustain themselves and for the production of more plants, right?
That's right. And that's one of the huge benefits of more CO2 is that it actually helps plants grow. That's why farmers pump it into their greenhouses. CO2 is the gas of life. If you go through the New Americans YouTube channel, go to the Sci-Tech playlist, you'll find interviews with dozens of incredible scientists, including some who've worked with the IPCC, right? We just did an interview recently with Dr. Nita Zaxon-Mortner. He was the sea level reviewer for the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This is like, the reports that this UN committee puts out. These are like the Bible of the global warming alarms. They say the science is settled. Look, the UN settled it.
Well, this is basically a religion for them, isn't it?
It is. It's a cult. And actually, we've interviewed scientists who outline that case as well. You have top global scientists, people like Richard Lindzen, meteorologist from MIT. Even Dr. Happer have said this is cult-like behavior, right? They're ignoring the evidence. They just have this unshakable faith in the man-made global warming hypothesis. And they want to, they feel like their carbon emissions are sinful. They got to go out and buy indulgences, pay carbon credits to buy them from Al Gore, uproot an African village and plant some trees. And then Al Gore gets a bunch of profits off the top. And that's literally what's happening, by the way. So this is a very, very dangerous movement. It's a totalitarian movement. And if you want to learn more about the science, again, read the articles we've been doing in the New American. These people have been wrong about virtually everything. And then go watch these videos with all these scientists who will tell you the truth, including our interview with Dr. Happer from 2016, where he explains how important CO2 is, how it doesn't drive the climate change. And we need to point out, of course, climate change is real. Right? The climate has been changing since the Earth was created. If it didn't change, we'd still be in the Little Ice Age, right? I mean, come on. Obviously, the climate changes, and obviously the climate changed long before you were driving an SUV. So, the burden is on the other side. But is that climate
change the result of man-made, CO2 production?
Exactly, and it's not, right? And this is demonstrable. The science, I think, is becoming increasingly clear. The man-made global warming hypothesis is wrong. It's just wrong. That's how simple it is. So all their predictions have been wrong. Their climate models are so off base. It's just ludicrous. They have to hide the data. They have to, as it came out in the ClimateGate emails, hide the decline in global temperatures, right, to keep the wool pulled over everybody's eyes. This is a scam of monumental proportions, and putting together a scientific body, backed by the force of the federal government to re-examine some of this science and pseudoscience would be very, very important. So I hope people will read the article at the New American. We quote a lot of very, very prestigious scientists on this issue talking about the need for this climate commission. So let's encourage the president to do the right thing, do right by his supporters, the people who voted for him, and let's get to the bottom of this, right? If they don't have anything to hide, they shouldn't be scared of another investigation.
Well, thank you, Alex, for joining us today. And we would ask you watching to read this article. It's a really important article. Read the article by Alex Newman in The New American. Also, check out his other articles that we've published on thenewamerican.com, in which Alex has interviewed various climate scientists from the United Nations, those that are skeptical of the so-called climate change theory that's being pushed down our throats each and every day by the mass media. And also check out, as Alex Newman mentioned, the Science and Technology playlist on our YouTube channel. Also be sure to like this video, share it on social media, and to subscribe to the New American's YouTube channel and tell others about our channel as well. So thank you, Alex, for joining us today on the program. Take care and God bless.
Thank you so much, Christian. God bless you too.